Now on Newsmax Prime, we're pleased to be joined by Republican presidential candidate Dr. Ben Carson. He joins us via telephone today. Dr. Ben, Pope Francis is delivering remarks to the UN General Assembly. Given that world body's anti-Israel and anti-American tendencies, is it time for the U.S. to consider withdrawing from the UN?
I certainly think that's a conversation that we should have, no question about it.
A conversation we should have? In other words, you would consider that strongly? Would you rate that as a priority if you become president?
Well, I want to hear all the pros and cons from both sides. I want to look at the statistics in terms of, what good have they done versus what bad have they done. How does that relate or correspond to our goals? And, one of the problems is that, we go off half-cocked sometimes, and, we make emotional decisions without really sitting down and having the in-depth conversation and looking at the data.
And now the news comes that Speaker Boehner will step down next month. Your take on Speaker Boehner leaving the Congress?
Well, I appreciate the fact that he has worked so hard for so many years, and I know that he is a person who is kind and tries to get along with a lot of different factions.
Well, mindful.
However, I believe that has not served the constituency well, because a lot of people have been sent to Congress over the last few elections for the purpose of changing the direction and opposing the current administration.
Of course,
that's not necessarily a good place to have somebody who just wants to get along.
Well, and now apparently he leaves next month. There is still on the table a continuing resolution to continue government spending rather than fighting over Planned Parenthood, and an outside chance that he might work to raise the debt ceiling. Do you have concerns that a Republican speaker would basically get a majority of Democratic votes to give the president what the president wants?
Yeah, I'd be very concerned about it. I think we need, very strong leadership that will oppose this president and his agenda, and oppose it vigorously.
Dr. Ben, you have taken a lot of heat for your comments regarding a Muslim president. You said those comments were taken out of context. You say you weren't talking about the potential president's personal faith. What message do you want to convey?
Well, the message was very clear. If you go back and you look at the transcript, I said, I don't care where a person comes from, what their religious faith is, if they subscribe to American values and are willing to place our Constitution above their religious beliefs, I have no problem with them. And that is the case. And that includes anybody.
Dr. Carson, you mentioned earlier this week that despite the firestorm in the dominant media culture, you had a financial windfall in the wake of your comments last Sunday, a lot of financial backing coming into your campaign. And now there's a new poll from Rasmussen Reports saying 51% of likely U.S. voters would not personally be willing to vote for a Muslim for president. Your reaction to that news?
I'm surprised it's only 51%. That's my reaction. If people actually understood all the tenets of that faith and recognized that it does not believe in the separation of church and states, but instead advocates for a theocracy. And as I've said before, if a Christian was running for president of the United States, but their agenda was to establish a theocracy, I would not advocate for them either.
Let me ask you then, just to make sure I understand it, do you differentiate between mainstream Muslims and Islamists, those who seem to embrace that agenda of Sharia law and political extremism and terrorism?
I say anyone who is of the Islamic faith, who is willing to disregard the tenets that are proclaimed through the religion and through, the authorities of the religion, if they're willing to reject that and instead accept the American way and accept our Constitution as supreme over the Quran, over Sharia, over Hadith, over all of that, then I have no problem with him.
Let me ask you if you have problems with an unexpected admirer as we're wrapping up. Kanye West, who wants to run for the presidency apparently in 2020, has described you as brilliant. Your reaction to that assessment from Kanye West?
I appreciate his kind words, as I would anyone's kind words. And, I hope that he and some of the other, pop cult people will begin to start thinking about how their influence can be used in a positive way to uplift the communities that are influenced by them.
Would you be willing to sit down face-to-face with Kanye West and discuss your campaign?
Well, I've certainly spoken to him before.
Yeah.
I find him to be a very intelligent individual who has a very good business head on him. And yes, I'd be willing to talk to him.
Well, he says he's doing research. He's got an eye on the presidency years down the road. Right now, you're in the thick of your campaign. And Dr. Ben Carson, as always, we thank you for your time on Newsmax Prime.
Always good to talk to you. Thank you.
Pope Francis about to finish his first trip to the U.S., and it seems he is as controversial as he is beloved. We want to know what you think about the positions he's taking on climate change, immigration, abortion, and the rest. Go to NewsmaxPolls.com and make your voice heard. Newsmax Prime continues after this.